A week from now, on February 12th, Yakuza Kiwami 3 comes out, which is the remake of the original Yakuza 3. There is a demo that is available across all platforms, and despite the controversy surrounding Kiwami 3, I'm here to brush it all to the side and to provide y'all with my honest thoughts on the Yakuza Kiwami 3 demo. With the Kiwami 3 demo, they provide for you the chance to play both Dark Ties and Yakuza 3 story. I started with Dark Ties first, since Dark Ties is a guidance story centered around one of the most fan-favorited characters within the series, let alone within Yakuza 3, which is Daigo's husband, Yoshitaka Mine. Dark Ties is just a chance to provide Mine with some more backstory, as well as getting to know him as a person before he ends up being tied into the story of Yakuza 3 that we are all familiar with. Pretty much, you don't really get that much of Mine's story. I guess they want to keep it under wraps and make sure no spoilers or no leaks, which at this point they're kind of shit out of luck with. Seeing Mine before he gets into the Tojo clan is interesting, just with like the very brief glimpse that you get with Mine, seeing how his personality is fleshed out. He is this calculating, logical, rational leaning person, and seeing him trying to form some kind of alliance with Kanda in order to get into the Tojo clan. It's funny seeing that his way of joking is pretty much him comparing Kanda to an animal. I couldn't help but like giggle the amount of times that Mine was just like, oh, this dude is an ape. No, wait, he's worse than an ape.
Is he some hormonal ape?
And then on the other side of the Dark Ties demo, we have the combat section, which you do get a brief tutorial with punks walking here and about as always. But then you also have a fight with Kanda. That's the final fight of the demo. And the combat in Dark Ties, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna also carry over into Yakuza Kiwami 3. It feels like I'm playing the Judgment series with how fluid and flexible Mine in particular feels. Speaking of Mine, he does have his own exclusive fighting style. I'd say I'm very impressed with how they managed to make Mine's fighting style fit in with his personality. Mine is fighting particularly with a priority of speed rather than strength. He's more of an agility-based fighter until you piss him off. And now Mine is chucking haymakers at you at the speed of a fastball. Once Mine's heart gauge fills and you use up one of the hearts or two of the hearts or whatever, he turns into like this primordial fighting being that's like damn near a brawler. He just whop, bop, a loo bop, a whop, bamboo onto Kanda. I'd also like that they did add something to the combat system that I'm going to talk about more once I get to the Kiryu section. And now we are at the Kiryu section. You do the Rikia fight, of course, and that's where the tutorial for the combat kicks in for Kiryu. And let me just say, so that we can get this out of the way, the combat for Kiryu, it never ever disappoints unless it's Kiwami 2. Kiryu has his Dragon Adochima style, and this man is not only moving fluidly, he is also chucking trains that are disguised as his fist. And it does not stop there, because they also added for Kiryu a new fighting style that is based off of an Okinawan martial arts. So you have this assortment of weapons at your disposal. You know, depending on whether you hold the X button or hold the Y button or hold the B button, they allow for you to use more weapons at your disposal, such as the nunchuck, this what appears to be like a fishing oar, and this like metal whip and chain that you get to spin that is like super cool at dealing with crowd control. At first I had no clue what to do with it, but then I realized like, oh, if you just continue to hold B and enemies are moving towards you, it's like putting your tongue through a ceiling fan. And of course the heat gauge returns as always. And when I was using the nunchucks gave me a heat gauge at one point. So I don't know if maybe if certain weapons get heat gauges or if it's just, you know, the demo. You can always upgrade Kiryu and probably have heat gauges for Kiryu picking his nose. Oh, and the new combat feature that I was talking about that they finally put into this game is that there is a counterattack system. Now, at first when I did it with Mine, I thought that it was like an accident or something. Once I got to Kiryu section and I did the final battle within the main story, you're able to finally counterattack bosses. I almost shedded a tear. I was like, finally! No more every single time I throw a punch, the bosses just automatically counter it with a 5-hit combo. Now you two are able to counterattack bosses as well as the multitude of fodders that roam the streets of Kamurocho and Okinawa. But for what the demo provided, I don't know what it is when it comes to them remaking the Kiryu games, but maybe it's because of the fact that they've spent so many years, decades at this point, perfecting Kiryu and knowing the type of character that Kiryu blossoms into. The love, the respect, and the dedication and the detail always transfers over into Kiryu. It happened with the man who erased his name. It happened with Kiryu's portion of infinite wealth being much stronger, in my opinion, than Ichiban's portion. And now in Yakuza Kiwami 3, it still continues with the amount of references that they put towards Kiryu. They put a 10 years in the joint reference. We know, if you're a true Yakuza fan, you know what the 10 years in the joint is a reference to. This man, hold on, this man right here. And the love that they show towards Kiryu just doesn't stop there. Even in the sub-stories that they provide, and they provide 3, and the fact that they brought back the very infamous ice cream sub-story where you have to carry the ice cream over to 2 girls on behalf of their dad. Instead, they remade the sub-story to where you have to carry 2 ice cream cones to 2 girls by walking through a huddle of sumo wrestlers and all-American or like collegiate wrestlers. It's so silly and it's so absurd, and I was not expecting for them to give a sub-story a difficulty spike. But again, like, this is yet another instance of them knowing their fan base and knowing what makes Yakuza 3 shine. As far as the side content in the minigames, they brought back a lot of stuff that at this point they have already made a must-have. The customizing that you can do to Kiryu, which, as you can see here, this is no longer Kiryu. This is the man who is going to become the king of karaoke, Monkey D. Kiryu. And with Monkey D. Kiryu, we did go to karaoke with Haruka-chan, and we also did do something that I believe is new to Kiwami 3, which is go into a photo booth and take a bunch of pictures and pose. We were serving family fun cuntiness. However, there is one feature that they did do a bit of an overhaul on, and that is the accessories. You know how there's a dragon of binding and the amulets and stuff like that? Well, instead of it being an equipable clothing item, in Kiwami 3, they're going all out with the charm of the time that Yakuza 3 takes place in, which is around 2009-ish, by allowing you to equip phone charms on your flip phone. The phone charms themselves are where you get your bonuses and perks outside of battle or within battle from, as well as this infamous photograph right here, as well as being able to customize your flip phone. Y'all know I had the wild out on this razor. Have to let everybody know, hey man, just because I'm the king of karaoke does not mean that I'm not the dragon of Dojima. You gotta rep it all day, every day. Now to address some of the criticisms that people have made about the demo, checking it out for myself, there is validity to it, especially the one regarding the brightness of the Okinawa map. When you start the demo up, they do ask if you want to lower the brightness gamma, and I could tell alone from the Okinawa side of the screenshot that, yeah, the lighting is just a little too bright for me. I could see the sun shining on that sign right there, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna lower it around to -2 or -3. It kind of helped with that, but again, I shouldn't be the one doing that for my game. That RGG should be the one who have already fixed this problem. RGG has addressed it and said that they're going to be releasing another patch for the demo that will fix this. But another issue that I saw people talk about was the graphics, specifically the way that Kiwami 3 looks to be a graphical downgrade from previous other Yakuza games. I've seen a lot of people still hail Yakuza 6 as the best looking Yakuza game. I did play on 4K 60 FPS, and as far as Mine's side, Mine looked gorgeous. Everything about his side looked pretty decent, but I noticed that a lot of the complaints are about Kiryu and how Kiryu looks and how Okinawa in general looks. I believe like people were complaining that there was just like a weird oversaturation, and I kind of want to push back on that just a little bit. The graphics of Kiwami 3, I think that's one of the things that they don't want to shy away from. Like the way that Kiryu looks, yeah, he doesn't really look as realistic as the Kiryu in Yakuza 6, but every time I was looking at this Kiryu in Kiwami 3, he kept reminding me of the character model for Kiryu in the original Yakuza 3. And it's definitely the eyes.
Beautiful eyes.
Kiryu that's really cementing why I really do believe that they're going in that way, except not too dramatically cartoony. It's still trying to like contain a bit of realism to it, but they're still trying to honor that art style from Yakuza 3. Also, as far as performance issues, didn't really have any issues on my part. Did run stable. When I think about it, I don't think Yakuza games have ever had like a consistent issue with performance. I do know that there are some people who are choosing not to purchase Yakuza Kiwami 3, whether it be because of certain plot leaks, interesting changes to certain characters, and those changes being linked to specifically the voice actor for Hamasaki, who is a real-life Japanese actor by the name of Teruyuki Kagawa, who issued an apology in 2022 of an incident that happened in 2019 at a hostess club, where it is reported Kagawa engaged in indecent behaviors towards the victim by reaching down into her dress and taking off her bra, touching her breasts, and also smelling her armpits. And you would think that with the way that Yakuza has always portrayed Kiryu as someone who was always jumping at the helm to protect and help women who are victims of sexual harassment or are about to be victims of a sexual assault or sexual harassment. Yeah, this is some pretty oddball casting to hire someone whose face would be crushed into a wall by Kiryu.
Fuck 'em up.
I understand people's decision to not play the game if they don't want to, and I just want to reiterate that this video wasn't made to like try to change people's minds on whether or not they want to buy Yakuza Kiwami 3 or not. This video was just made to make sure that all of the controversy and drama pushed to the side, like, is this a great Yakuza game? Like, is this a great product for anybody who decides to buy it, would care to get into, or would buy this as their first Yakuza game? And I would say from what I played from the demo and as being a long time Yakuza fan, like, yeah, there is a lot of high detail, dedication, and love that has gone into this demo, let alone more than likely spreading into the entirety of the game, which is usually like a 20 to 40, 60, 80 hour gameplay. That wraps up my thoughts on the Yakuza Kiwami 3 demo. If you enjoyed this review of the Yakuza Kiwami 3 demo, make sure to like and subscribe. Until the next video, stay safe, stay healthy, and don't forget to dame dane.
ダメなのよあんたが好きで好きすぎてどれだけ強いお酒でも歪まない思い出がバカみたい